Most of fly fishing is the little moments. In fact, the big moments, the moments where we're catching our personal best brown trout, or you finally catch that smallmouth that you've been chasing forever. Or maybe it's like the times when you go on those like guided trips out west that you've been planning on forever. Like it's those moments that are special. But the thing about those moments is they're rare. They don't happen that often. And so as fly fishermen, we have to learn to be content with the little moments of fishing. The moments where you're tying flies while your wife reads a book next to you. The times when you're researching different rivers and streams, like planning for the next big outing. The moments where you're driving an hour just to get to the river and you look out, it's early in the morning and you see a sunset. Or the moments where you're putting on your gear and you're just excited to get on the water. Or the moments where you're driving back from a long day of fishing knowing that you have a warm meal waiting for you at home. It's the little moments that take up the vast majority of our time. And when we focus on the big right home to your mom events, but neglect to be content in the moment, we'll end up taking those little moments for granted. And we'll spend a lifetime wishing for what's next instead of just being content with where we're at now. But the beauty of life rests within the miles between the milestones. I'm going to say it again. The beauty of life rests within the miles between the milestones. And the same is true with our faith. When it comes to faith, a lot of times we end up falling into the same trap of looking forward to the next big moment while neglecting to focus on the simplicities of our faith. We end up discontent with the things that really end up growing us, things like Bible reading, prayer, fellowship with the body, and we do all this in eager expectation of the next church retreat or worship concert or week of Bible camp. I mean, you got to realize there have been churches whose entire goal has become to just simply try and deliver the next big spiritual high. But what if I told you that the next big spiritual high simply isn't the point? Would you worship God if your worship never gave you an emotional response? Or are we just following God because it feels good? I mean, don't get me wrong. Worshiping God and following God and serving God does feel good, and it does bring joy, even in the darkest of times. But sometimes we have to step back and begin asking ourselves if we're worshiping God because of what we get out of worship, or simply because He is a God who deserves to be worshiped. Now, I'm like jealous of the disciples. Like I'm jealous sometimes. I read the scriptures and I'm like almost jealous of them because I mean, imagine what it would be like to witness as Jesus heals a blind man. Imagine what it would be like to see as Jesus calls out to Lazarus in the tomb, come out, and all of a sudden here comes Lazarus, who's been dead for 4 days. He's been prepared for burial, and he comes back out of the tomb and he's now alive again. Imagine what it must have been like to watch as Jesus is teaching this house full of people, and all of a sudden the roof breaks open, like people break through the roof and lower a paralyzed man through this roof. And all of a sudden Jesus stops everything and he focuses on this person, this man who's been paralyzed forever, and he heals him. Imagine that moment. And then I think of those moments and those times when like there gets like those big mountaintop experiences, and it's just amazing. But then my brain goes to like, imagine even more so what it would be like, how wonderful it would be to simply sit around a fire with Jesus and the disciples and just talk. Or like, imagine how great it would be to eat lunch with Jesus, or to walk with him from one place to another, or to work with him in ministry, or to just talk about life. Like we always talk about these big mountaintop experiences within the Gospels, and those moments are amazing. But like, imagine what it would be to just simply live a life with Jesus. Just doing the regular, mundane things of life. I would give just about anything to be with Jesus in those moments. But here's the thing. We can. We can be with Jesus in those moments. No, not physically at this moment, because Jesus is up in heaven with God and all that's like, of course we can't do it physically, but spiritually we absolutely can. We can spend time with Jesus wherever we go, riding in the car, doing dishes at home, cleaning laundry at home. We can literally be with him whenever we want. We don't have to wait for that next big mountaintop experience to experience Jesus again. He's just with us everywhere we go. And so my prayer for you is to stop focusing on those big mountaintop experiences of your faith and just begin focusing on the simple disciplines of faith. Praying, reading your Bible, spending time with fellow believers, and watch how it transforms your faith. Because again, sometimes we get so caught up in the milestone moments of faith that we forget that beauty rests within the miles between milestones. That's my prayer for you. I'll see you next time. Tight lines.